of their faith and their belief, enjoying and suffering pain for the sake of Christ. In Peter, First Peter we just read, you see that in your pain and in your suffering, you rejoice. In order to receive that greater grace that comes through Christ, you must jealously desire the Spirit to whom He has made to dwell in us. We have people who are themselves, they are, and they claim to be men of God. When I visited and I saw a priest that I served when I was an altar boy, and I said to him, and during the conversation, I wanted him to actually do my wedding, but the bishop of his bishop decided to deny him that privilege. And for the same thing we are talking about, people in positions and power and the authority assume power that doesn't belong to them and take it to their own ruin and take it to hell. So, but what we are saying is that in this case, and I was asking, how come there is no more saints? I just gave you names of few of the saints from Africa. Where are the saints anymore? They don't make no sense. So because they have lost and they have forgotten the foundation, they have forgotten the true worship. Even the ancestors were better saints and more righteous and more holy and more deserving in their worship. Even those that don't know Christ Himself, compared to the people that we have today. The word of the Lord says, be miserable and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy into gloom. In the book of Ephesians, that was the gems that we just read. In the book of Ephesians in chapter 4, from verse 9 to 16, the word of the Lord says, as you can see, Jesus Himself talks about visiting the hell, going to hell to preach. Even this earth that we live in. Remember, He came from heaven into the earth. He descended down to the earth. And then He ascended back into the heaven. So as the Lord calls you into this journey, and take your time to read the book of Ephesians in chapter 4 from verse 9 to 16, so that you can understand what does He mean. The Lord ministered to the dead, so that those that are alive today, when He returns, everybody will be part of the return of Christ, to see those that the Lord Himself are going to roof with before the end of time. In the book of Luke chapter 17, from verse 11 to 19, Luke chapter 17, from verse 11 to 19, you will see Jesus Christ visiting the sick. We already read that. So that you can see the work of Christ in visiting the sick when He went to heal them. And for the soldiers, every Saturday, we go to visit people who are sick in the hospital or in their home. Loneliness is a sickness. Somebody who's already sick. For example, what happened during COVID? Everybody was isolated. Even people wouldn't see their own family. They were scared of death, to the point they left the sick to suffer themselves. But we thank gracious God that gave us the strength and the faith to make visits to those that needed us. It is the word of the soldier. So if you see the example of how you should live your life as a Christian, it's not to be selfish. It's not always going to be about all your life, about yourself. It's not all about you. It's also about your neighbor, about your brother, about your sister, about your neighborhood, about the people around you. In the book of Luke chapter 24, you will see that even after resurrection of Christ, He continued to be the pastor, the minister, the shepherd of the apostles. He sent a message to go and tell the apostles to meet Him in Galilee. And there, they met. in Galilee. And he continued to encourage them and promise them and admonish them. As you already have seen in the book of Mark 16, where we showed you, where he called them to meet in Galilee, that from there you see the Great Commission. The Great Commission, that as the soldiers, you should be a minister to go to talk to people, to help the people, so that they will understand that God is God and God is their Father. And before I come to the end of my message today, I bring to you the word that you read in the book of 2 Kings in chapter 20. We read about the sign. Remember, Hezekiah asked for a sign that he will be healed, that God had extended his life. And then he told him, instead of asking that the shadow from the sun go down, but instead he should ask that he go backwards. What a lot of theologians say, that a scientist says is impossible, because in order for that to happen, it means that the sun would have stopped and go backwards. And that's not possible, and they never believe. But I tell you today, the word of the Lord, in the sign that will happen, that you will see. For some time, we have talked about what has been going on in Africa, to awaken to change, a change that is going to blow into Africa, to wake them up from slumber, for them to begin to use their head and their brain, for them to remember who they are, to remember the work and the relationship they have enjoyed with God, that they have forsaken, and begin to enjoy a new relationship with God, to look for God and seek for God, and relate to God and be with God. That they will see a sign will come to them. For we know already that right now, as we speak, the fact still remains that, for example, in Nigeria, and I'm going to use Nigeria to see, that Nigeria rests around 5 degrees of equator, north of equator. So in as much as they talk about south, that the whole Nigeria is on the northern side of the equator. And if you know your geography, equator is the line drawn in the way the position and everything is, the whole earth is laid out